with respect to post-tropical cyclone Ophelia. It is moving just inland along the west coast of Ireland at the moment, and I have seen some very impressive wind reports from Ireland. I saw one gust to 84 knots at Roche's Point. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The last observation as of 10 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., I believe that would be 2 p.m. Dublin time. We have a gust of 70 knots there, so that's about 80 miles an hour. Shannon Airport gusting to 63 knots, gusting to hurricane force. Numerous gusts to hurricane force that I have seen. Oak Park, 31 sustained gusts to 60. The sustained winds in some places have been running 40 to 50 knots, mainly along the south coast, but it's really been the gusts that have been quite strong. Mount Dillon, 48 knots. Moore Park, Cork, 51 knots. I believe I did see, well, the Cork airport is now not available with the observation. I did see gusts there into the 60s, so perhaps their anemometer is having some issues. Dublin gusting to 53 knots. Gertine, Tipperary gusting to 55, Johnstown, Castle gusting to 62. This is as of between 1 and 2 p.m. Dublin time. So it has been, a formidable storm. I'd be very interested if those of you that are on on this morning from Ireland, very much interested in your observations here. So I'm going to just quickly run the short weather video that gets into all this, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more. So stand by. Ophelia now on land on the island of Ireland, moving northeastward, just inland of the western coast of Ireland. It came ashore just a few hours ago. You can see how rapidly it's moving, and that distinct comma shape that it has developed as it has transformed itself from a tropical system to a very powerful non-tropical or post-tropical storm. The center is going to make its way through northwestern and northern Ireland in the next couple of hours, and then from there it's going to be heading on into Scotland. We have already seen numerous wind reports of gusts up to 100 miles an hour. I've seen some gusts actually a little bit higher than that offshore. Here's the model's take on it. Really, there isn't much change in any of this, as we have been seeing the models very consistent for many days now. But the actual low center, which begins to weaken slowly as it moves northward, this is the position indicated for noon Ireland time today. This is for 6 p.m., where it is now moved off the coast of Northern Ireland, and the gales are spreading up the coast through western parts of Scotland. You're still getting very strong gale force winds throughout the Irish Sea, and then the low center just touching northwestern Scotland during at midnight tonight, before it moves out to the east by 6 a.m. And then the winds, of course, which already will have been diminishing across Ireland and the Irish Sea, will continue to diminish elsewhere as this all winds up moving eastward and eventually getting absorbed by another Atlantic storm that's out there. So this has certainly been quite the event here with respect to Ophelia, a rare thing indeed. Here's the wider view on the satellite, and you can watch. I'm going to just update it here. You can see the transformation taking place very well. Here is the point at which Ophelia is still a tropical storm here, a tropical system. The distinct eye is visible, of course. So this is when it was well south of Ireland, which is right here. made its way northeastward. You've got this deep trough out in the Atlantic that's swinging around that basically just lifted Ophelia up and around it and northeastward, took a shot, made Ireland its target, and that's where we have seen this wind up. Now, you'll notice on the loop, you see how quickly that transformation takes place. It's really quite amazing from a meteorological standpoint. You've gone from that symmetric system to this, which is the, oops, let me just stop it again. You've gone from that symmetric system to this one, this view on the satellite. You see how it's shaped like a comma now. This is when it became post-tropical, and it's a technical determination. Tropical or post-tropical, it is a powerful cyclone with very low pressure, and we've seen the outcome of this with very, very strong winds that have occurred. I'm going to just move it forward a little bit more. Let me just try. I want to try and get it right at that point. There it is. So here it is now when it's sitting right along near the northwestern coast of Ireland. That circular look. All the heavy rain bands are out to the east. That's why there hasn't really been that much rain with this. And of course, over England, there's been very little rain at all. It's been pretty dry. So it's really been the wind here. Remember, the winds are blowing counterclockwise around the low, so you have the center of low pressure sitting right along the northwest coast of Ireland. So you're getting these really, really powerful southerly and southwesterly winds ripping across the south shores of Ireland and also pretty far inland. I've actually been quite amazed to see some of the wind gusts that have been occurring in places to the north and east of the low center. I've seen some gusts in Dublin over 50 miles an hour. I'm just going to very quickly take a look at some of the latest weather obs, but seeing continued gusts to 60, 70, 80 knots in some places, and of course in the highlands and in the mountains, you're going to see those winds be perhaps even stronger. So this is the worst of it now. You're going to see weather conditions gradually improve. Stand by and come back. I'll be very curious to see what your observations are in the chat. So just bear with me for 1 second as I make the switch. Are out to the east. That's why there hasn't really been that much rain with this. Okay, everybody, so I'm back. We are going to just take another quick look at the observations that are going on in Ireland to see if there have been any changes. And let me just take a look. Casement Aerodrome gusting to 58. Still no report from Cork Airport. Still gusting to 53 in Dublin. Stronger gusts here, 70 at Roche's Point. Again, the strongest gust I saw there was at 84 knots. Oak Park at 60. Mount Dillon 48. I don't have observations for Northern Ireland. I'm just taking another quick look here. Dunsany at 52, Tipperary gusting to 55. So again, pretty much playing up according to plan here, which is that we were going to see gusts to and above hurricane force in some places, and that indeed has been the case. Also, the fact that we really haven't seen too much in the way of rain. And yes, David, your wind is going to be east to southeast and then gradually go south as the center goes by just to your west, okay, in terms of the track. So you're going to see that wind start to bend around a little bit more. Not seeing many reports this morning so far from a lot of you that have been on over the last couple of days, so I guess you're just kind of busy, or maybe there's been power outages all over the place. I've seen the report of a report of one fatality so far. So we'll gradually get this out of the way. It is moving very, very rapidly, so weather conditions across Ireland will start to improve tonight and during the day, certainly on Tuesday. For Northern Ireland, you're going to see your weather conditions deteriorate over the next number of hours, and then eventually you're going to see all of that weather move over into Scotland late this afternoon into this evening. And thank you, Cynthia. Belfast gust to 34, and they will see some gusts up to 60 knots, no doubt about it. We'll see it move over the north coast of Scotland overnight, and then out tomorrow very, very quickly during the early morning hours as it gradually weakens and moves away to the northeast. So we'll just leave it right here with regards to Ophelia, post-tropical storm Ophelia, another amazing tropical system in what has been an amazing hurricane season. Ed Harvard, sorry to change. You think summer months are longer into the fall and winter longer into the spring? Actually, Ed, that has certainly seems to have been the case here in the U.S., particularly in the East. The falls have been short. They've gotten start late. Summer seems to be extended a little longer. And the springtime months tend to be a little bit colder as winter has kind of been extending itself through March and into April. So that seems to have been the pattern over the last several years. Now, whether that's something that's going to be longer term in nature or not, I don't know. Oh, James CIP, thank you very much for hitting the coffee fund. I appreciate it. You'll grab me a Starbucks later today. Thank you. Thank you so much for hitting Super Chat today. I haven't really taken a good look at the U.S. weather pattern from the overnight. I'll do that later today, and we'll do another video this evening. But I really haven't given it much of a look. I was just kind of looking at everything that was going on with post-tropical storm Ophelia. So what a hurricane season we've had. 6 major storms, 2 Category 5 hurricanes, 2 other Category 4 hurricanes, 2 Category 3 hurricanes, and I think some Mets might even argue that Ophelia might have briefly gotten close to a Cat 4 back a couple of days ago before it peaked in its intensity, just based on what was going on, what it looked like on the satellite loop, and with some of the satellite passes that were done. So maybe they'll go back and look at that and nudge it up a little bit. But the bottom line is 6 majors, which is one shy of the record of 2005 and 1961, which coincidentally we saw Hurricane Debbie hit Ireland in a similar track, just off. Although Debbie was actually a shade further to the west. But the record for the peak wind gust is held by that storm. 114 miles an hour was measured. We'll see what it comes out of this one when it is all said and done. So once again, thanks, James CIP, for hitting Super Chat, getting me a cup of coffee. I really appreciate it. And for the rest of you folks, have a great day. We'll see you this evening as we take a look at what happens going with all of this. Cynthia Guignado says, Ophelia rare because it's strong so far north. Well, it was the strongest Category 3 hurricane ever observed in that part of the Atlantic. And let me just bring myself back up into the screen here. It's the strongest Category 3 storm ever observed that far to the east. Also the fact that it was able to become a strong post-tropical cyclone because the storm interacted with that very deep Atlantic trough that was swinging down and around. So it basically got an extra shot of juice as it made the transition over into a non-tropical system and just began to really behave as such. And you saw on the satellite loop, by the way, just how quickly that transformation took place. It was literally over the matter of less than 12 hours that it went from being a purely tropical cyclone to a purely non-tropical cyclone. And but through all of that, in terms of the pressure, the central pressure, the very tight pressure gradient, it kind of maintained that to some degree. When it made that transition to post-tropical, the wind field tends to spread out a bit. The area of gales gets wider. You don't have the real strong concentration of strong winds right near the circulation center. It tends to be, you get pockets of strong winds on the east side and on the north side sometimes, and even on the west and south side, but it's sort of scattered around, and it could be, those strong winds could be even 100 miles or more from where the circulation center is. So, but it was able to maintain an identity, and you saw on the satellite loop how it transformed itself into that, typical North Atlantic comma-shaped non-tropical structure, and those things can be just as intense as hurricanes, depending on the circumstances. And in this case, with the support of the upper atmosphere, which was, by the way, quite different from a lot of the storms that in the United States, the ones like Irma, for example, and Nate, as they moved up into the Ohio Valley and Northeast, they lacked the upper air support to make that transformation over into some sort of non-tropical system. So those systems wound up weakening, excuse me, and basically falling apart. She Gadget, you're saying that you have a yellowish, brownish nature to the clouds. That could be sand from the Sahara. Well, a lot of times in these systems, when they move off the African coast, we saw during the hurricane season large areas of African dust that moves out over the Atlantic and gets entrained into the circulation. I mean, I'm not really sure about this, about whether this is the case here, but it would not be at all a surprise. So, like I said, all of this part of what has been a very fascinating and strange hurricane season. And if you think back to the beginning of August, when I know some of you were just complaining how inactive the hurricane season was, well, you know what? Be careful what you wish for. And of course, we've seen the serious nature of all of this with regards to the outcomes in Texas, in Puerto Rico, in the Virgin Islands, in the Leeward Islands, and now we can add Ireland to that list of areas that have been impacted by tropical systems. So also, let's not forget New Orleans and the Middle Gulf Coast. Even though it was a minimal hurricane with Hurricane Nate, it did wind up having some impact there. All right, folks, well, have a great day. We will check back later on to see what's going on. You can, if you go to my Facebook page, meteorologistjoecioffi.com, I'm sorry, my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. The website is meteorologistjoecioffi.com. If you go there, I did put up on either one. I have links up to the Weather Service in Ireland that will take you directly to the page of the wind observations, and you can take a look at what the latest winds are going on, and the latest weather conditions that are going on in those areas. Father Simeon Parsons, good to see you this morning. Ruru is here, and Jason forgot to say hi to you directly. If I did before, you're getting a second hi. James NASCAR fan. Coops Kiss. Some are saying that this is the dust is from the Spain fires, the orange glow. Could very well be. That could very well be. All that stuff. It certainly the circulation extended eastward over Portugal and Scotland and saw it lift on up. So maybe some of that did get involved. All right, folks. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.